We're now entering chapters 21 through 24. We're solidly into our second generation, and we're going to see a lot of contrasts between Kathy and her mother, between Linton and Hareton, and between Kathy Linton and Linton Heathcliff, as well as, of course, the worlds of Thrushcross Grange and Wuthering Heights. In chapter 21, we have sort of our all of us meeting at Wuthering Heights. Nellie and Heathcliff interact, and Heathcliff quite clearly says what his design is. He wants the two cousins to fall in love and to get married, and that he feels that Kathy Linton should be very happy that he is willing to do this. She has no expectations. Nellie protests this, and he makes a very interesting argument about the law, if Linton Heathcliff should die before Edgar. We're not sure that he's telling the whole truth here, so we'll talk about that in class, but look for that in the text. Think out how he talks about his own son versus Hareton. Remember, he, in a certain sense, is using Hareton as a way to punish Henley and everything that Henley has done. Is he really succeeding? Does he treat Hareton and feel about Hareton the way that Henley treated and felt about him? In chapter 21, we're also looking at Kathy. What reaction do you think Bronte wants us to have when Kathy and Linton both mock Hareton? And again, we have a lot of contrast about Heathcliff and his feelings for Hareton, for Linton Heathcliff. What are they? Think about what Bronte is describing about her characters and the ideas and feelings about Kathy as she's developing. This is Kathy Linton. This is not our Kathy Earnshaw. Are there similarities between daughter and mother? Is the daughter different? Is she changing as she's growing and leaving the cloistered world of Thrushcross Grange and going out into the greater world and interacting with the people at Wuthering Heights? Note what her feelings are for Linton at the end of this chapter, how, of course, Nellie reacts to it, and what's up with the letters. We have an entire little section at the beginning of this chapter about a little flower on the walk that Nellie and Kathy see. Nellie asks if Kathy wants to pick it. Kathy doesn't pick it. What might that symbolize? What could the flower represent? And think again about the time of year. Heathcliff is very good at manipulating people. We've seen it through the entire book. How does he attempt to manipulate Kathy in this chapter? How does he use her feelings, her kindness? I think we can see that Kathy Linton is an incredibly kind child, becoming a young woman, at least in this world. Again, we have a locked gate door. It's very significant. Nellie is able to get Kathy onto the right side by sort of breaking the lock. She keeps her thus away from Heathcliff. Is that protection going to be able to continue? Are we being set up for a time where Kathy won't be able to get through a locked door? Kathy wants to be free. I think we see a lot of characters in this novel who want to be free. And she argues that the Grange is not a prison and that Ellen should not be her gaoler. Think also in a certain sense, how does Nellie react with Kathy and treat this Kathy versus Kathy Earnshaw, who becomes Kathy Earnshaw Linton? Does she treat Kathy Linton with more kindness, with more consideration? Does she approve of this Kathy more? Nellie describes Linton as like the worst child she's ever had to deal with. He's peevish, he's ill-tempered. Is she fair in her assessment of him? Are there any reasons or explanations for why he might be as he is? He makes an argument himself in a later part of the chapters that you're reading today about his defects. Do you start to feel any sympathy for him then? A lot of this chapter is through dialogue. So look at the dialogue. What are they saying? How are they saying it? Make a list of the adverbs and the other phrases which describe how the characters are speaking, not just what they say, but how they're speaking. What do you notice about them? Chapter 24, we get another contrast, a contrast between Kathy and Linton's perfect days. Draw up a column. Pull out that Reader Writer notebook. See what words they use to describe both of their perfect days. What senses are at work in both of their perfect days. Linton then blames Kathy falsely for an upheaval that happens at Wuthering Heights. It causes him to go into this coughing fit and sickness. She's very upset about the falsehood, and she basically says, well, since you don't like me, I'm going to end this friendship. He makes a very impassioned speech for why he behaves as he does and how he feels about her. Do you believe him? She forgives him. Should she have forgiven him? Do you feel any sympathy for Linton? And do you find this sort of attraction of opposites convincing? I hope that you've enjoyed this section, and I hope you will enjoy talking about it in class.